Hi everyone, it's Natalie here, and today I am making a whole heap of videos. I have so many ideas and things that I've wanted to do, and I've really missed everybody, and this is like one of the first chances I've had in days and days and days to sit down and make some videos, so I'm just heaping them all together. But tonight, what I want to talk about is a review of something that has become beautifully integrated into my life and practice, the Crones Bones. I love these so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah, fortune telling, decision making, bona fide, genuine, or bona fide, genuine. With Spanish moss included, and oh my gosh, does it smell good. Oh, I love Spanish moss. Okay, so, and we all know how I feel about sniffing things. So, these are by Crones Bones, Dominia, who runs Crones Bones. I ordered them from her after seeing these, total disclosure, on Jennifer Ball's channel. And I thought, oh my gosh, how much do I love those Crones Bones. That is so cool. I really want those. And I want the Nosferatu Lenormand. And instead of ordering them all together, which would have earned me some free shipping, I decided to order them separately. And I'm actually really glad I did, because sometimes taking on new tools like that can be so overwhelming if it's too much all at once, right? So let me just demonstrate to you how these Crones Bones are presently functioning in my life. Part number one. Ta-da! They live in my bra, right next to my heart. Oh my gosh, they smell so good. I keep them in the little velvet bag that the whole coffin came in, because that way I can really carry them with me. And initially I started carrying them close to my heart because I really wanted to make an impression on them, because if it's a new divination tool that I'm using, I don't quite know it yet, I want to make sure it really understands me. It felt right to carry them literally close to my heart space, in order that the tool that I'm using literally understands my heart, and where my heart comes from, so, and is imprinted by that. So yeah, so that's how I ended up carrying them in my bra close to my heart. And I was only going to do that for a couple of days, and then I stopped after like 4 days or 3 days and thought, okay, that should be good enough and I can use them. And I was rubbing them with oil and, putting things on them. Here they are. Yeah. And eventually, there's 3 of them. It comes with 3. And eventually I started to feel really lonely if I didn't have them. I don't know, it's weird. It just had become, I enjoyed, I don't know, they came from a living being, right? They're from, Dominia told me that she sources these from hunters, and from people who have already killed, an animal and are going to, the bones and the pieces are going to be, got rid of or disposed of anyway. So she's really just collecting things from sources where they were already going to be tossed aside, and she's using them to create beautiful tools. And they really are, folks. The more I hold them and handle them, the more I rub them with oil, the smoother and softer they become. I've never really spent much time working with bones. Shifting to a Tibetan tradition of Buddhism has been a big shock, because of course there are a lot of bones, and sometimes human bones, in fact usually it's human bones, integrated into that practice. And this is kind of like taking a baby step for me in some respects. At some point I will finish working on a ritual and being able to perform this ritual. And when I do, I will be getting a hold of a Kongling or a bone that's carved bone trumpet to work with. And that's kind of, for a vegetarian and somebody who practiced Zen most of their Buddhist life, 10 years of practicing in Zen, was it 10? I don't know, 8 years of practicing Zen, which maybe is not that many, but those were some heavy duty years of profound transformation, let me tell you. Um, and the rest of the, I guess I don't know, I lose track. I don't really remember. It's a long time that I've been practicing it. I know I've been practicing meditation it'll be 12 years this year that I've been a meditator, so I can tell you that much. But yeah, it's weird. Being a yogi, maybe that's better. Being a vegetarian yogi who doesn't really, eat animals or harm them. The idea of bones and things and lots of leather or what, it's weird. And I'm getting reaccustomed to it. There's something about it that I do feel drawn to. And anyway, there's a lot I could say there. But suffice it to say, yeah, they just become more beautiful the more they age. I love rubbing them with oil. They smell amazing. Oh, they smell so good. I use all kinds of scented, really beautiful scented oils that have intentions set behind their making and use. And I rub the bones with them. And I've been keeping them with a favorite stone. I found or discovered, oh, there we go. You can see the hole all the way to the back. I discovered this in a pile of rocks. I thought it was just a hag's just. Have this thing with hagstones of late, but I thought it was a hagstone because I just saw this. And so I picked it up and I was going to take it home with me. And as I picked it up and looked at it, I realized that it was a geode. And it's full of quartz. I think it's quartz and not calcite. It could be that it's honey calcite. I haven't looked at it under with a microscope. But these are common in Missouri. We have a lot of them. And they often are you find them in rock piles, which I find crazy because there's something very sacred about these stones and about where they come from. They're really alive. And this one in particular feels very alive to me. I really love it. It is so alive to me. And it feels like, I don't know, it kind of has that feeling of like the Philarkos cave, but like the heart cave. And so I put these with my Crones bones, and they live together in my bra. How do you like that? Now, this is just how I interact with them and play with them. How do they divine? Well, beautifully. Really, really beautifully. And I may do another video where we play divination games with the Crones bones because they're wonderful. I have used them. I was using dice to divine yes/no answers for people on when I read on the lines. And I understand a lot of people in the tarot community have a real bias against simple yes/no answers. But when somebody is suffering very deeply and they're really very sincere in seeking an answer, I don't have space to judge that. I really don't. I've been there. And sometimes getting some form of answer, even if you recognize that it might not stay the same, or that it may change in magnitude in some way, can be so helpful and such a relief. And over time, I have found that the clients that are returning to me on the lines, as I read less and less on the lines these days, because I don't have as much space to do it, and I'm trying to build my human life face-to-face interaction part of my business much more. What I'm finding is that the people who come back to me are coming back because whatever happened with those predictions came to be true, came to fruition, which is terrifying and humbling, actually, because I will always tell people, look, I'll just give you the answer that I get. I'll divine it as honestly as I can get it. And then we're just going to let it go because the answers to these things can change all the time. What I like about this system of divination is that there's ambiguity built in. So let me show you the way that this works. With 3, and 3 is a number that I realize I've come to love and treasure a lot. I always did creatively and in theater, certainly in visual composition, and in dramatic composition. 3 is very important, but I've also become, familiar with how in divining 3 is a really powerful number as well. But they come with this wonderful, little form or little sheet. It was rolled up tight, and I've unrolled it, and I carry it. I clip it with my I have this collection of tarot spreads. Actually, there's a few clips of these. The tarot spreads that I really, can pull out in any occasion and work with, because it's okay to use the cheat sheet. That way I don't have to worry about forgetting anything. I've got it there. But as you can see, there's a big variety of possibilities here, right? You get a very strong yes, a very strong no, or, a maybe, a really strong ambiguity. Ask again. This is maybe not something you're supposed to know. And I was getting that with, and had figured out a way to do that with dice, but this is so much clearer. And it's so much simpler and easier, and because I was kind of inventing and allowing the dice to tell me how they wanted to work, and there's so much complexity for me because of the numerological associations therein, it was hard to just deliver the information, because I found that it was really getting to be complicated. Not that that's bad. I think there's something to it, and there's definitely something in there, and I love playing with things like that to find out what they want to tell me. But when it comes to really genuinely helping people and not just amusing myself with ideas or with something new that's unfolding, and I really just want to help someone get an answer that they can find peace with, right? Because there's something about having an answer that gives us peace. Whether it turns out to be a permanent answer that is the truth is anyone's guess. But, having that and knowing that the person on the other end who's doing the divining is really utterly sincere and trying to help you I find that to be very, my integrity is wrapped up in that. And I don't want to tell somebody something that is a load of shit. I'm not interested in that at all. And it's why I was very hesitant to even deal with fortune telling in the first place. Didn't want to even go there because I couldn't understand how that was actually going to help anyone. And there's so many Buddhist, there's so many admonitions against it, right? In so many ways, at least in exoteric Buddhism. Finding ways to just be okay with uncertainty and with not knowing. I don't have the time when I'm working with with most clients. That is not a satisfactory answer, and that's not why they're there. And while some of us are going to find great peace in being able to welcome and understand and live in liminal space where we don't know the answer, the vast majority of my clients are suffering profoundly because they can't get a fucking answer, right? They're in pain as a result of it. Having some answer, any answer, is a way for them to release and relax and let go. And we all know, those of us who are really doing that work on ourselves, the sooner and the faster that we can let go, right, and that we can ease off, the more easily things begin to flow again, right? The more easily we can begin to find space, and we can find comfort, and we can find stillness. So that was that's a really long answer. That's a really, really way too deep, right? Maybe for something that's supposed to be a simple divination tool. But that is how I'm using them, and that is the motivation behind their use, which is also why they live close to my heart as often as they do, because they are, I'm accountable. I'm accountable for what comes through them and what comes from them, as much as I can be. You can't control it, but you can be accountable, right? And also setting the intention, of the heart cave and of the beauty that's within the heart. And it's, it's got all the valves and vessels and things like a heart. I love this stone. Free. Didn't have to buy it anywhere. Didn't find it on Etsy. Just found it on the street in a rock pile. How about it? But yeah, it's become a really powerful tool, the Crones Bones. So if you are someone, I mean, it's very simple. Three of these is a yes, right? This spells yes in runes. This spells no in runes. Okay, and then if you get a ridge or a side like this where there's nothing, that reads as a maybe. And when you cast them or throw them down, it is very clear what they're saying. So if I'm going to work with them and I'm going to divine with them, what I do, of course, I pull them out of my bra first, because that's important. You got to have them out. Leave the rest in there, at least for now. That's for another time. I pull out a little cloth that I have here that I intended for another deck, but I've actually started using it as a carry it with me cloth. I've got my little divination pocketbook here. And I've been carrying this little guy with me everywhere. And I find it great for just setting out a little sacred space to play with my Santos and Signs deck, which comes along with me as well in there, along with some oils. And I've got my my little cloth. So I spread it out. I take my Crones Bones out. I take my little, my heart stone and put this down somewhere on the cloth. And then I just begin rolling them, in my palms like that, back and forth. While I think of the question, I make it very specific and very clear. So formulating that question is a very, very important part. Let me see if I can find an example. So when I do one of the lines, ooh, come back, here we go. One of the lines that I read for is, it is a video app, and it's more of an app than a line. And people ask they ask a lot of yes/no questions, and sometimes to make sure that I'm listening clearly, I will take what they write down and I'll reformulate it, or listen to the video as well as read what they've written so that I can make sure I'm understanding what it is they're asking, because those things can be all over the map. So somebody asks, and this is like a verbatim question. Let's see, where do I have some verbatim? Sometimes, I write those in quotes when they're here. I just had one the other day. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this person writes, what does he feel about me? Okay, I used cards for that one. What is the yes, no? Oh, here we go. Is he dating someone else? So that's the question. I will fill in the person's name. And I will actually readapt the question. Is person X dating someone right now? Because that gives me a clear answer. Just clarifying things. This person also asks, is he the man for me, or am I going to meet someone else? Those are two separate questions. They may have put them as one question. I split them up into two questions. Again, I use the proper noun. So I use the person's actual name, and I use the querent's actual name. And then I pick up so I'm rephrasing and clarifying the question. I pick up the stone, the bones, rub them while I'm asking and ruminating and tuning in. And then I take a deep breath in. Blow it into the stone as intention, or the bones as intention. You don't need to answer any questions right now, by the way. Just make sure they know. And then I give them a good Vegas style, jangle or jingle in here. And then I toss them down onto the cloth. And where they land, it's usually very clear, So there's no question that we're asking, but I'll go ahead and put them down on the cloth since that's their process. And they're going to be like, what's happening? And we'll just tilt this way. So here we go. I've got my little cloth. So I just did my little Vegas, right? And then I just let them fall. And of course they did not fall where they're visible or easily visible, right? So here we would have, a yes, a no, and another yes, right? So with that, pull out our fun little sheet, and I'm going to move this. Or maybe not. I think we're good. What do we have? Yes. Yes, yeah. Yes, yes, no. Okay, so we have we have our answer, yes, but with some minor difficulties, right? So that's specific. From there, from there, we could then ask further questions with the cards, or we can ask further questions using the bones. So as long as a client is not creeped out in person by bones, I would see no issue. I haven't done it yet, but I would see no issue with bringing them out to work with a client in person. If I were dealing with with clients that I'm not seeing visibly, they're not there, I don't worry about it. I just get them the answer they need. So yeah, I give this an A plus. Brilliant tool, beautiful divination tool. Dominia puts every bit of care into every single detail that comes along with these Crones bones, and they're really inexpensive. The unfortunate part is that she can't ship them overseas very easily because it's organic animal material. But I mean, I know of one person at least overseas who's managed to create their own version of this. Because it wasn't possible for them to be sent, and is playing with and working with this system. So if this is something that you're curious about or interested in, and you live within the United States, please, please go check them out. I am loving them. They're absolutely brilliant. I'm not a witch, full disclosure, at least not intentionally. At least not intentionally. Rumor has it that my great aunt Zelma was a witch of some kinds, and there are a lot of different practices, like folk practices, that have been passed down through my family that people have, because of being Christian, they've long since kind of swept under the rug as being just, oh, well, doesn't everybody do this? Like witching warts. Different types of folk healing, dowsing, stuff that is totally witchy, but which would have been so against the church, and you're out of the family if you do this. So, yeah, there's at least 2 women in my family on either side that were clearly very witchy, but never could officially be called witches. And I don't call myself a witch, but Jennifer Ball tells me I should rethink that. There we are. Just being transparent, y'all. What good are labels anyway? I don't know. They don't always help. Sometimes it's just a piece of paper. So anyway, that is the Crones Bones, my friends. Check them out. I think you'll love them. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.